Healing Overflow. Welcome back, y'all. I'm Dr. Toy. I'm with y'all again. Thanks for joining me. Thank you so much for your support. You know what? If these broadcasts really been helping you to heal or helping others to heal around you, I'd love to hear about it. Email me. Let me know. Give me a shout out at drtoyjones@gmail.com. Also, I've been getting folks saying, are you going to talk about this or can you talk about that? Email me your ideas, or if there's something you want me to talk about, I would love to hear from you. drtoyjones@gmail.com. If you want to be notified of these live broadcasts, you got to like my Healing Overflow page. Go on there, click, like, and then I'll let you know when I'm live. Also, follow me on Twitter at Prof. Toya Jones. You got to follow or WXCN Power Radio. I have to say it like that because that's how it sounds on the radio. Power Radio. All right. So go like that page and I will be happy. Okay. Keep on listening. Keep on supporting. Your support means everything. We got a guest today. I know I'm always sounding excited about my guests, but these are some super people who are coming on here to share their stories of healing, and I'm super grateful. Today is no different. We have Paula Ilochi. She's the owner and founder of Directing Paths, LLC. She's helped over 4,000 individuals as a trauma-based coach and also a survivor of domestic abuse. Her story of survival paired with her education has allowed her to bring compassion and education to the clients she serves. Paula recognized the need of promoting healing loudly and created a platform that encourages survivors to find their voice throughout their healing process. And we are blessed and lucky enough to have Paula on our show today to share her story, but also to help others heal through her story. Please put your hands together for Paula Ilochi.
That was an amazing introduction. That actually was even better. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Not the echoes.
The echoes, all that. Okay.
You are too funny.
You are worthy of it now.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
It's so good to see you. So good to have you on the show just to share your story. I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
I don't know if
I'm
you
excited.
Can
tell. I think I can tell. Hey, listen, we need cheerleaders. So I'm here for it.
All day.
I'm here for it.
You know, celebrate Black women, powerful women on the move. You know, that's my thing. But I'm so glad that you're here to tell your story because I know your story. The viewers need to hear your story. It's a story of healing and triumph, but it didn't start that way, you know.
Right.
It started off well, and then the middle got mushy. So I would love to just jump right in, and just get into it for the viewers. Talk about your story, but start from, a lot of times being in an abusive relationship. They come and it's really roses and butterflies and unicorns or whatever, rainbows. And it's a beautiful beginning because if they came and told you, oh, I'm going to wreck your life, I'm going to be toxic as I can ever be, I'm going to be, you wouldn't be interested in sticking around. So talk about, what was that fairy tale beginning? Just tell the viewers a little bit about it.
Yeah. So when I started, before I got in that relationship, I was just ending another one with a person who didn't have time for me, wasn't, upfront with a lot of stuff. So there was a lot of healing I needed to do before I even went into a new relationship, if we're being completely honest. But I felt like I was on a time crunch. I was 31 and society tells you 31 somehow was old and I wanted to have a child, all that type of stuff. So I felt like I had to rush.
Yes.
And I actually met my then husband online.
Oh.
And he was doing everything that other person was not doing. He was giving me all the time and all the attention. And then there would be moments where there wasn't a lot of attention. I kind of felt like radio silence. But then the next moment, it was so much attention. So it was a roller coaster. It was a lot of up and down. And I started to live for the ups. And
Mm.
even though it was, there were different signs in the beginning that was like, you should probably pump your brakes and slow down because it moved really, really, really quickly. I kept saying, well, all my other relationships, they dragged their feet and they took forever, right? So I was comparing two forms of what were really unhealthy and trying to figure out which was the least unhealthy.
Got it.
Does that make sense? So then I get
Wow.
into, and then I'm like, wow, this person wants to marry me, right? The other ones didn't want to marry me. It was a lot of comparison in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I got to do this. I got to move forward with this. And then as soon as the I do started, everything else, all the chasing stopped.
Wow.
Like like
So
like the day of.
get out of here. So no, this part I didn't even know. So
Hmm.
the courting was this roller coaster, this
Yep.
adrenaline rush of like beautifulness and then vacancy and then back and forth,
Yep.
right? And then, but none of the abusive qualities until after you got married.
It was breadcrumbing. So there were qualities. It was more emotional. So it was a lot. And bread.
Oh, we lost you just for a second.
Oh,
Okay,
am I
we got
back?
you back. Yes,
Okay, I'm sorry. You're super clear. But yeah, just let me know when if my internet connection is going out.
got
But breadcrumbing is when I give you just enough for you to hang on.
you. Hmm.
So yeah, there were moments when I didn't get a chance to talk to you. You weren't really answering my phone calls. But then there were moments when you were calling me nonstop. And I was
Mm.
always getting phone calls, so the highs were really, really high. And I knew that if I hung in there long enough, I would keep getting to the high.
Oh, I see.
Right? So there was a lot of breadcrumbing in the beginning.
Mhm.
Um, if there was any form of negativity or any kind of verbal abuse happening, the apology was so quick and so heartfelt, seemingly, that it was just couples have their ups and downs.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right? So, yeah, there were absolutely red flags, but there was remorse after
Gotcha.
mistreatment.
Mhm.
Right?
Because if there was so much abuse or the quickness of the apologies didn't come, you wouldn't have walked down the aisle.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
the breadcrumbing is just to get you close enough and keep you wanting some more breadcrumbs because breadcrumbs ain't a meal.
Nope.
It's
But
breadcrumbs.
it's enough to keep you from starving.
Ooh. Ooh.
Right?
Did y'all feel that? I felt that. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Listen, and I remember the night of the wedding, I got a hotel and I'm, so excited. It's your wedding night, right? You're
Right.
excited about that moment. And he went to sleep. There was no dinner. We had the dinner with the friends and stuff that were able to come because it was very quick
Mhm.
one. That's everything was so quick, right? It was rushed. We got to do it now. But I remember the night of the wedding feeling alone, feeling like, what did I just do?
Yeah.
Um, Feeling like, is this what happens? I thought this was supposed to be an exciting time. I thought the wedding was fun and the night was fun. And it was just like, boom, reality hit immediately.
Oh my goodness. So that must have been like a time of like panic. You're sitting on your wedding day, just like heart sinking and panicking.
Hmm.
After that point, when were red flags? Now, retrospect is always 2020,
Right.
hindsight 2020. When can you now say, oh, the red flags were right here? Let's talk about what they were specifically.
I think the first one I saw was after the wedding day. Was I remember going to be around his family and making some complaints about different things, that the way his family did things. Like, I don't feel comfortable staying here. I'd rather be in a hotel, and this is kind of like what I'd rather do.
Yeah.
And him saying something that was so hurtful to me in that moment that I was just shocked. Like, don't act like you're not used to, substandard living or some type of conditions because of
Oh.
X, Y, and Z. It was just something that was so hurtful that it was like, why would you? It didn't even match what I was complaining about.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time that the insult didn't match the disagreement.
Okay. That's a huge red flag.
It's a huge one.
It's like you went all up here and we were just talking about this.
Right. We're just talking about this. And now we're being insulted.
Yeah. Like your character was being
Yeah.
insulted. Wow.
Yeah. And the apology took a day or two.
Oh,
Whereas before, my apologies were instant.
got you.
So now the apologies are becoming further and further apart.
What I need the viewers to understand, because I've known Paula for several years now, this is completely nothing she would ever take from anybody.
Talk about it.
Like never. You can't say nothing halfway, sideways. Paula, like, hold on, what you say now?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
even here, I mean, you're in a marriage now. It's not just
Yeah.
somebody says something halfway. This is your legal husband, and he is attacking you. He's attacking you emotionally and mentally. Like, what was that
Yeah.
like, being such a strong, forward driver, with your type A personality to,
Yeah.
did this man just insult me like that?
I actually said that. No, that was my first question. Like, what did you just say? And when he didn't back down from it, I've never been talked to in that way. So
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to react. And then not only that, I couldn't vent to anyone because everyone was already telling me, I think it's too quick. I think you're moving too quickly. I don't think you should do this. So I didn't feel like I had anyone I could speak to who wouldn't say I told you so.
That's part of
So
it.
that was the beginning of me
Uh-huh.
starting to just internalize it and well, maybe I am overreacting. Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe I insulted him. Maybe this is so I began to take it on myself. There was something I did that warranted that reaction.
Okay. How long was the courting process before you got married?
It was 10 months,
Ah,
long distance.
uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
really 3 months.
Right. And so you weren't around him all the time to see any of this stuff, but he knew what he was doing.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And
Hmm.
then family were now isolated. Okay. So you were isolated from people that would be in your ear, like, what's going on?
Yep.
This stuff. Mm-hmm.
And now let's keep in mind that I moved. I used to live in DC, and then at the time I moved to Dallas. I was already physically separate from my family and friends too.
Wow.
I moved about 2 months after the wedding.
Okay. Okay. Talk about
Mhm.
some more. Now it feels like it's starting to escalate, started getting higher.
Yeah, and then it would be other little things like, "Hey, he would, say, I'm going to run to the store." I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna come with you. I'm with your family. I'm just getting to know them, right? I don't really know them." And he would say, "You don't have to follow me everywhere. I'll be
Oh,
back." And we
oh,
just leave, right? That's a huge red flag.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Why
I'm
don't you
sitting
want me
here,
coming? Yeah.
right? So my feelings are hurt, but then I'm like, well, maybe I am being too clingy. Maybe he does. Well, I heard that in marriage. So then I started bringing up things I heard people talk about in healthy marriages and started equating it to my unhealthy marriage. So I'm like, well, I did hear people say that you need your space in marriage, but you don't need space like that. Like that's not the type of space you need, right?
Yeah.
Um, but then he would come back with the gift. See, I did. You always mess up surprises. Oh, okay.
Ah. Then you start internalizing that.
Yep.
You need to stop being this and stop doing that.
Hmm.
Now, when did it start to even move up another notch?
Then when we relocated to Hawaii, now I'm like in a 9 hours flight to family. Even
Mhm.
longer and another to Pittsburgh and things. And um, I remember the first time we got into an argument, we were kids, in the military, before you get into your house, you're in like a hotel or something. I was
Mhm.
just frustrated. I didn't have any family there, any friends. I left everything and the life just wasn't adding up to what I thought it was going to be. And I
Yes.
remember complaining about like, did I make a mistake? Like, should I have left my job? Should I have left my home? And he got so upset with me. I remember this like it was yesterday. I don't think I've ever shared this. He got so upset with me. He got into the rental. We had a rental at the time. Took off. I'm running after him, literally running after him. Like, don't leave me. Because it was like, I'm like, I'm like, what's going on? What did I do? Run
Right.
into the car, takes off. Wasn't answering his phone. I'm calling him. And so now I'm having a full panic attack
Of course.
because I'm away from family and friends, and this guy, my husband, just left me. Right.
Just left
So
you.
imagine what's happening in my head. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get home? I need to call my
Mhm.
family. I can't tell them what's going on. I'm far away. They're going to panic. So all this is going on through my head. Finally, he probably comes back maybe an hour or so later, and he says, I was just up the street in a parking lot. I just want to let you know what'll happen if you keep acting this way.
Ooh. Now tell me that don't sound like you was just disciplined or something.
Yep.
Like you the
Yep.
kid and he the dad now.
And I was apologizing. Like,
Oh,
I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have done. And even me telling you this story, and I haven't talked about this because I wasn't ready to talk about it for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Because he used to have certain people checking on me. They would be watching my videos and reporting back. So it was a lot of drama there.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm back. I don't care. Say what you want to say. I couldn't fully continue to help and heal others because I was still keeping so many secrets inside. You're bearing it all to me, and there's so much I'm still not saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was the beginning of me apologizing for everything. Because at that point, he knew I didn't want to call my family and tell them what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of had that over me.
Yeah.
And then also, the honeymoon was amazing after that. After that argument, we went to hang out with his friends. We had a great time. We gone to church together. It was amazing.
Yes.
So I got to the point where I started to feel, at least I know the bad times are going to lead to a week or two of peace.
Mm-hmm.
So I would look forward to the peace at that point.
The same as when you were dating, that up and down.
The same thing, except for they were more extreme.
More
The stakes were a lot higher
Mm-hmm.
because I was in my own home at the time, right? But now in Hawaii, I'm so far away. I left my job. What am I doing? My income was getting lower. So financially, I was depending on him. So what was I supposed to do?
Listen, viewers, this is the pattern. It doesn't start off.
I don't want to mess up your live, but I'm going to plug in my charger.
It doesn't start off so toxic. It starts off lovely, beautiful, but those breadcrumbing.
The breadcrumbs, yeah.
Down, right? To keep you wanting to get to that high, sort of. Keep wanting that good stuff. Then it gets progressively worse, and the abuser isolates you and puts you over here so that you don't have your social supports. You don't have people in your ear saying this isn't right. You don't have people supporting you saying, what do you want to do? Anything like that. Or it's getting worse. Look, Paula, listen, y'all, this is the way it starts off. Yeah. And when you keep making those exceptions and the honeymoon gets better and better, that's when it starts to progress and gets worse. Tell me when it was at its part where you were like, this is toxic. This is awful. What the heck?
When women kept calling me. I think when women kept calling me, I remember one time a woman's husband had called me because it was an issue with his wife, right? And I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. But I remember bringing it up to him and being like, I can't do this anymore. Enough is enough, right? I don't want to keep, and I already had my son at that point, and I'm like, I've never dealt with this. I shouldn't have to deal with this. And he said, well, if you're so self-righteous, you can just get on a plane right now and go home.
Whoa.
Okay.
Wow.
When I tell you, it went from apologies to no remorse, and then he would just say really ugly things, and then I would just ignore the phone because it'd be through text, and then he would apologize. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have did that. You're right. And it was like immediate. It was just, but I didn't understand what was happening. Even still, I just knew I was very frustrated. And then he made me believe that, well, this is not true, and this is not what's happening, and everyone's lying, and so. I remember getting to a point where I looked at my son and said, he's not repeating the cycle.
Wow.
He's not doing that.
Wow. Wow.
And a lot of people were saying, you're going to leave your baby. So he wasn't even a year old. The baby needs his father, this and that. And the Bible tells you this and that. And I said, well, if his mother isn't here and healthy and sane, he doesn't have a chance.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I got to the point where I said, I can't afford to stay.
Oh. And when it comes to that point where you have a child involved and a male child, they're going to repeat it. Statistically, they will repeat it.
They will repeat it.
That behavior. And the gaslighting, you talked about that. We didn't put a name to it, but that's what it's called when the partner then turns it back on you and you start apologizing, just like, I'm so sorry. You're like, wait a minute. They was the one that did something wrong, and I'm sitting up here apologizing. Yep. But that level of behavior will be picked up by the children. They'll pick it up and become the aggressor. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I mean, and there are so many other things in between it, but it was constant. It felt like when I came out, I was diagnosed with PTSD. But because if you think about it, or complex PTSD, because of the short term interaction with it, but you're on guard every day.
Mm.
I started getting off social media because I didn't know who was going to contact me, right? I didn't know who was going to hit up my phone from a blocked number and say, I know this information. And I was just so on edge and so afraid that it was going to I was embarrassed for behavior that wasn't even mine.
Right.
And you're always on edge, right? And then you know that um, if you say anything, you're going to be in a doghouse for
Yeah.
complaining about being mistreated, right? I couldn't keep even though I had a job, my finances were a mess. So
Because
even though I
even
wanted to leave, I'm like, well, I can't financially afford to leave.
gotcha. Wow.
Yeah, I was taking care of so many other things around the house,
So
so
we call it a toxic relationship because a lot of times when people hear domestic violence, they think you got beat and
right.
black eyes and pulled your hair. And there are awful stories like
Yeah.
that. And we have survivors out there that have been through it. But you're telling me this was emotional, this was mental.
It was mental. It was so much mental. It was, and he would say things like, I gotta break you down and build you up.
Whoa.
And it was a lot of mental, because looking back, I had to forgive myself and really applaud myself for even getting out of it, because I was like, how could who was that person? I don't even know who that person was. I couldn't tell you who the person is.
Yeah. Because it that person knows exactly what they're doing from the beginning,
Yeah.
and they know they're going to break you down and build you the way they want you to be. And it doesn't matter how strong you are, what a career person you are, white, black, red,
Yeah.
tangerine color, doesn't matter. They have their eyes set, and it's very powerful once you are in the love. All
Hmm.
right. You in the situation, you're in the entanglement, and you can't think straight, and your
Yeah.
people around you are now pushed away. Did anybody
Yeah.
say, Paula, won't you leave him? What are you doing? This ain't you.
Yeah. When we came back to Texas, and we were with some other family, and they didn't say, why don't you leave, but they would say things like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you put up with that, right?
Same stuff.
It could never be me.
Mm,
Which honestly, don't ever say that to a person who's being abused. Don't
horrible.
do this. That you think they're happy, they're not happy anyway.
Right.
So it was a lot of that. It was a lot of, I couldn't do it. And it took me realizing I couldn't hide it anymore, because I was so good at hiding it. I mean, I was a champ. You hear me? I
Mhm.
just knew how to, and it was so much work to hide it. But once I got to the point where I realized I couldn't, I was like, well, what am I defending now?
Wow.
I
Wow.
couldn't hide it anymore.
So when did you say, I mean, you got on the plane? Did you just take your son, get on the plane?
No, I called my sister and I said, there's a lot I haven't been telling you. And I told her what has been, because no one knew what
Wow.
I was dealing with.
Well, Paula, he
And
was this decorated individual. Talk a
yeah,
little bit about that, because that made it.
decorated individual, minister. Um, you know, there was a lot of spiritual abuse. The Bible says this. Well, God told me this. There was a lot of that happening too.
Wow.
Let's not act like that doesn't happen as well. But a lot of people would have never, he was so nice to everyone else. And a lot of people will say that when there is a form of emotional and financial, they're amazing to everyone else. I mean, he would take the clothes off his back for someone else,
Wow.
just not for me.
Not for you.
Um, yeah, and I remember telling my sister, "This is what's going on, and I can't do it anymore." And she got me the next night, and I never looked back.
She said, no questions, get in.
Hmm. There
Listen,
was
that's
no back and forth. There was
Mhm.
no, there was no, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna come back. Nope. I waited till he left the house, and I left in the middle of the night with my baby,
Wow. I
and I
applaud
never
you.
turned around.
I applaud you. There's so many people there are women listening right now that says, I don't have that courage. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how she could get out of it. I know how you could get in
Yeah.
it because I'm in it. My friend's in it. I keep talking to her. She's not listening to me. I don't know what to say. Please talk to our viewers. Let them know give them some encouragement. What can they do?
Yeah. So for the person who's in the situation who doesn't see an out, understand that when you think you've exhausted all of your options, just know you haven't.
Mm,
And you have to get to a point of being tired of being tired. And I know we say that all the time, but you have two decisions in a situation like this. You can accept what's happening and continue to be miserable and hurt and probably be out this world earlier than sooner,
mhm.
or you can say it stops. Now, understand, when I said it stops, that didn't mean that I was healed. It took me 2 years, and I'm still in therapy, but it took me 2 years of weekly therapy to even get to the point of being able to talk about it and not want to, like, let me call this person up and remind them why I can't stand them. It took me a while to get there. But make sure you have an ally. Don't isolate yourself.
That's
Do
great.
not isolate yourself. I don't care who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you need to call a hotline, have someone. Because I called a hotline a few times and then would never follow through.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
make sure you have an ally. If you have someone who is not caring and is not understanding, move on. Go to the next person. You don't need to convince anyone of why you're being hurt.
That's right.
But find an ally. You really can't do it alone.
That's great. That's great advice, because an abuser will silo you. You're over here. Nobody's talking to you. Nobody likes you. You will find nothing better. Get out of here. Right. And if you
But they work in teams. Because here's the thing. There's a lot of abuse by proxy, just being with an abuser. And what that looks like is maybe a church member or a coworker is like, this person is so great. And you say, well, not always. And they're like, well, you know how you are. Maybe you're overreacting. They refuse to even listen to you because that's not the person that they see.
Okay.
So there's a lot of that happens as well.
Wow. So people around him saw all this wonderfulness.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you need to shape up. What you doing? He's a military man. He's a man of God. He's all these things. If he was a man of God, he wouldn't be treating you like that.
Right.
Yeah. And then,
I actually stopped attending church at one point because I was like, no one's listening to me. And then when we were leaving the island, I remember one of the ministers saying to me, we stopped seeing you, but your husband was always here in front of the whole church.
Wow.
No one stopped to figure out why. I wasn't coming. What was going on?
Yeah. We got to do better. We got a responsibility as a people to see a change and a different, and to pull that person aside and say, are you okay? That's our responsibility.
Absolutely.
Talk about how you knew it's time for me to help others heal. That's a switch. And it's like,
so here's the thing that I didn't share in the beginning. I was a victim advocate during this whole time. So I was already doing it.
Yes. Helping other people.
I was already helping other people.
Tips. Telling them what to do. And you're
telling them what to do, fighting for them, going to court for them. But my clients were getting pushed down the stairs pregnant, and that wasn't happening to me. So that was different. Yeah. My situation wasn't that bad because I wasn't getting hit.
Mm-hmm.
So I was already doing that. And I think after it, I was trying to figure out still what was going on with me and what happened and how it happened. So that's when I found more healing, talking to people, sharing what I knew about being a victim advocate, and then sharing what I knew from being my behavioral health background, and then educating that way. And it was helping me while I was helping them.
Beautiful.
And then I got to the point, which is also, everyone needs to understand, the healing journey is going to look different every step of the journey. So then I got to the end of that journey where I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching and group coaching. Then I said, let me just start doing the education. Right. So then I started creating now I'm creating workbooks for people who have anxious thoughts, not anxiety, because that's your realm, Dr. Toy, but anxious thinking, journaling, writing down your thoughts, looking at it and trying to really analyze it, what's bothering me. And even creating children's books. I'm working on that now too. So there's a lot. I'm doing more focus on writing and education that I can hand over to people.
And that writing and education can go even further than that one-on-one. You're going to be helping that person to the next person, sharing the workbook with my friend, helping and healing the next person. That's beautiful work. That's what you're doing through Directing Paths.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What I'm doing. And I got the name from, my favorite verse, and all that ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. And I feel like giving people these tools, they can do whatever they want with it. You can share it with someone else. You can, sometimes people aren't ready to talk yet, but they can read, they can pull it up on their phone and they can look at it. So I wanted to be able to reach people in non-traditional ways too.
Wow. Well, your story still blows me away.
And it's more than what you knew, huh?
Listen, there was stuff that I said, what? I didn't know that part. There's so
Hmm.
much to it. There's so much to it, but
Yeah.
it's so encouraging because a lot of folks are in a situation, a similar situation, or something where they are, receiving physical, emotional, financial abuse and don't
Yeah.
want to call it abuse, especially Black women. It's like,
Yeah.
we don't get abused. We strong. We abuse, we get
Let me
you.
95% of my clients were white women. It was so hard for me to target Black African American women.
Mm-hmm.
So difficult
Yeah.
because most of them would say to me, I'll just pray. And I love to pray. I love prayer. Prayer changes things, but you need to act as well.
Yes.
You need
Yes.
to act. You need to listen. And what are you being instructed to do after that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that point
Yeah.
is very important because you don't stop praying, but you need to use the other resources that are out there, like the hotlines, people
Yeah.
like Paula, a family and friends that are supportive. But the hotlines, I'm on Women's Center and Shelter Board. It is a great organization here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And what we see, we have a shelter, we have a hotline, we have therapists and counselors. And there are women that have never been touched physically that are part of the shelter that come in for therapy and they utilize the services and they begin to heal. They
Yeah.
begin because the healing journey is just that. It's a journey. And you got to talk to others. We have groups that they run. You got to talk to others that understand. And you got to listen to people like Paula. She's been there, but it's in a rear view mirror now, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can come out. And that's why, and I don't know if I share this with you, I want to really get on with the motivational side of it, of speaking. Like that's my goal. That's my next goal because I think sometimes people need to hear it and then see the other side.
Well, this was motivation, and you started today.
Yeah,
Y'all
and I'm
heard
happy
it
to be here. This is an amazing platform. So I started today. But
all.
yeah, there's a way out. You're not stuck. My friend always says this, you're not stuck.
You're not
And the
stuck.
most things that what we say most often is I feel stuck.
Mhm.
Who can I turn to? I don't have any money. I want my kid to have this. I had to divorce the idea of what a perfect family looked like to save myself and my son.
That's
I
powerful.
had to do that. That was keeping me there because I don't care what it looked like from the inside. I cared about what it looked like from the outside, the
Wow.
unit.
That's so powerful. Paula, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for
Of
sharing.
course. Thanks for having me.
It's so powerful. And you just said so much. I call it gold nuggets. They fell all over the floor. We got buckets and shovels picking them up, trying to make it with these heavy buckets. Thank you so much for sharing this. If
Yeah.
this touched you and you're seeing this and you can identify and you understand, please reach out. You can reach out to Paula. You can email her. The emails is here. Go on her webpage and check out all of the different services. There's a phone number there. Y'all know how to get me. Talk to me. Reach out.
Mhm.
There are services out there to help you. You don't do it alone,
Yeah.
and you're never stuck. I love that advice. You're never stuck. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for tuning in to Healing Overflow. I'm Dr. Toy. Don't forget to go on the Healing Overflow page and like us, WXCN Power Radio. Like it. Follow me on Twitter. Y'all keep on healing because your healing overflows onto others and they're going to heal too. Thank you so much. I'll see you again next week.